Jesus said, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar and give to God what belongs to God. Today we have one person who has followed this so faithfully and practiced it in his life. Gave to God what belongs to God and gave to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Hello, welcome to Wordnet Productions. I am Father Sony Sebastian, a Divine Word missionary priest. Today we have a wonderful, very happy looking person who is always smiling, a person who is also a deacon, Deacon Mark Martinez. He is serving at San Salvador Catholic Church in Colton, which is close to San Bernardino. Welcome, Deacon. Welcome,
Thank you,
Mark.
Father. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming to Wordnet, and thanks for sharing your life, your story with us.
Thank you so much.
And I was going through the bio that you sent, and it's very intriguing, very interesting. Of course, presently you are a deacon working at San Salvador Parish in Colton.
Yes.
How many years have you been a deacon?
It'll be 7.5 years, 8 years in November.
Oh, 8 years in November.
Yes, sir.
And you were ordained a deacon by Bishop
Rutilio del Riego.
Bishop Rutilio del Riego,
Yes.
a wonderful man.
Beautiful.
Of course, he is emeritus now.
Yes.
Yeah. But before, this is the present status of your life, being a deacon, but you are also serving at the school district, right?
Yes. Colton Joint Unified School District.
We will come to what you're doing at the school district as well later. But prior to all this present job, you have served the country as a veteran, as a military personnel.
Yes.
You have also worked as a sheriff
Yes.
for how many? 27.5 years.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Were you deployed in different countries during your tenure as a military person?
I was not deployed. I was enlisted into the United States Air Force Reserve.
Uh-huh.
But during Desert Storm in 1991, I was put on active duty status here at Norton Air Force Base in San Bernardino to help the regular airmen who were deployed to the Middle East. So for about almost a year, I was deployed here in San Bernardino to help out here in our home base here at Norton Air Force Base. Yes.
1991. I was ordained in 1992. But how many years did you serve? For 6 years you served?
6 years.
So you were out of the military before the 9/11, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Because that was kind of the very trying times for everyone who were serving. But you said you were helping those who were deployed, working at the Northern Air Force Base, which is not too far away from here. What kind of help were you doing? When you say helping, what do you do?
I was assigned to a security police squadron, so protecting our air base here, our workers, our public servants that work on base, law enforcement and flight security.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Now, after serving the military, you joined the sheriff department here
Yes,
in
sir.
San Bernardino.
Yes.
I was so intrigued to read that. So I'm sitting in front of a ex-sheriff officer, a law enforcement officer, right?
Yes.
My first question, often, this is something that I wanted to ask many times, many years since I've been kind of, toying this question within me. What is the difference between a police officer and a sheriff officer?
Deputy sheriffs is jurisdictional. So deputy sheriffs are assigned to the county unincorporated areas and contract cities within their county. They're also responsible for the jail system, the county jail system. City police officers are assigned to their municipality, to say the city of San Bernardino, the city of Colton, but we all are California state law enforcement officers with police powers throughout the state.
So the sheriff also has, let's say, same or similar kind of power like the police officer, and the police officers also have similar kind of authority and responsibility and power as a sheriff.
Yes.
Okay. Now, then why do we need these two different categories? Is it not enough to have just the sheriff or the police officer?
Some cities do not have their own police department.
Oh.
Just say like the city of Loma Linda, the city of Grand Terrace. So they contract with the sheriff's department to provide police services for their city. And also the jail system. And the cities that have been around for a long time usually do have their own municipal city police. But that's mostly the service that we provide from the sheriff.
Mm-hmm. How was that 27 years of working as a sheriff?
I had a great career. I had great assignments. And throughout my career, I was always wondering how I could get to the next level, how I could get to something that's going to be, so I could be more successful. And but at the beginning of my career, I was, like I said, great assignments. But I knew, even just having a great career, having a good family, having a good home, I was still not whole. I was still searching for something that I could feel whole. And I think that's when the seed was planted in myself to start searching more into my faith. Yes.
Well, I don't know if I am using the right terminology. The police, you have different beat.
Yes.
So the sheriffs also have different beats.
Yes.
What was the beat, or what was the kind of work that you were mainly
My
involved?
primary area was the Fontana area, the Fontana Bloomington area, not too far from here.
Yeah.
The unincorporated areas. And it was a great station. It was a small station, so we were like a family who worked well together. And of course, we still had, like a family, we had our ups and downs, but we all came together when it came down to getting the job done, to serve the communities. And now that was the big thing for us, having a small station, but yet could do big things.
Mark, very often being a police officer, being a sheriff is not an easy. Of course, we need to salute you, salute all those who are there, because you are on the front line, even putting your own life at risk very often.
Right.
And especially today, with all things that are happening in our society, we definitely, respect as well as appreciate, and we owe to you all for the security and the kind of safety that you are trying to provide, and keeping the law and order system,
Yes.
In order within the town and within our cities and our streets. Have you ever found your job trying to, in a way, block your way of practicing your faith?
In some ways, I know people have asked me many times, how could you be a sheriff and also be a deacon at the same time? And I do tell them, yes, my roads collide. My roads collide, but I think that God enlightened me to see that there is a world of darkness out there, and we need to bring light to that darkness. And working patrol on the streets every night, day, holidays, you have a lot of time to think of how you can protect yourself, but also how can you protect others, and not just in ways that you can be there physically, but pray for them to be there spiritually, to be there emotional, because there's just so many people searching. And I also had some experience working narcotics, undercover, and going to different places that I never thought I would be. God took me to some places, wow, I never thought I would be here in this situation or be here, but He's using me to bring the light of Christ to others who might be just living in darkness and have never seen anything else.
Normally, as a police officer, as a sheriff, you are trying to present the rough and tough, the rugged kind of face of a officer. How are you able to be totally different from that.
I believe during my training for as a deputy sheriff, we were taught command presence, to be present, but show your command presence. But also my spiritual journey, I learned to see God in everything. And some of us, and a lot of people I've met, have a lot of God in them, and some of them have just a small piece, but the small piece is still God. And if we could enlighten them with them and bring that out and illuminate that presence of God in them, it would be so much better. It makes it a lot easier in that job and any other thing and we live in life.
Yeah. Deacon Mark, I really appreciate you for sharing this, but I'm sure you have had some kind of experience of encountering or working even with other colleague officers who were not very much religious.
Right.
And that kind of puts a block on you, so also a pressure on you. Have you had that kind of an experience?
A good example was that when I was a supervisor and we had some younger deputies who maybe sometimes complaining about having to take reports and the kind of redundant work that we've done, and going to houses and take another burglary report, another theft report. And my response to them was, treat that person like you're responding to your mother's house or to your grandmother's house. And I think that would change your perception, because you would want an officer or a deputy to go to your mother's house with care and try to help and serve. And that's what we all vow to do.
Yeah.
And sometimes, it's tough. And especially when we do it every day and get many calls and we're backed up. But I think if we treat everybody like that, then it'd make it a lot easier.
Also, another aspect or another side of the same job is when you arrest somebody, or when you are, when you have a car chase or something, and then you nab someone who has been doing things not the right way. And when you deal with that kind of a person, what is your first inclination? Like, be angry and stubborn with him, or do you think, oh, what would Jesus do?
Yes, I think fear has a lot to do with it, because we as officers, we have that fear in us too, but that's what makes us finer in our profession. That's what makes us be more aware of what's going on. And as a professional law enforcement, the situation has de-escalated now, it's over. Now it's time to wind down and think and slow things down. And I know that there's people that I arrested and put in the back of my police car, and all the whole way to jail, they were cussing me out, they're calling me every name in the booth, but I know it's not personal.
Yeah.
And there's many times, Father, that on the way, I started praying out loud, saying the Our Father, and all of a sudden that back seat got quiet. And because they were like, wow, maybe they needed something. They needed some hope. They needed some comfort. And that wasn't my whole career, but as probably the second half of my career was, and it changed. It was just a life-changing experience after that.
I was asking all this because I definitely want to listen what led you to become a deacon, and especially, of course, after you retired from your sheriff's job, right?
Yes.
But what led you, and what is your experience of being a deacon presently? So we are going to listen to all of that, working at El Salvador Parish as a deacon. But before that, we are going to take a break. Okay. When we come back, we will listen to all of that story. So don't go away. You have a lot interesting information waiting from Deacon Mark. Stay with us. Welcome back. We are with Deacon Mark Martinez, who is a ex-military person, so also an ex-sheriff officer here in Colton, in San Bernardino, and presently he is a deacon at San Salvador Parish in Colton. And in the past segment, we listened to you, Deacon, about your journey as a sheriff and the kind of challenges that a sheriff or a police officer would face, in their practicing or or keeping the law and order situation in the city, in the cities. But now, after you completed your service as a sheriff, you decided to become a deacon. And for the last 6 years, you have been a deacon, 6.5 years.
Yes.
You have been a deacon in the church. What led you to choose being a deacon?
Father, it's been a journey. Like I told you in the first segment, how I was searching more and more to become more whole. I knew there was something that I needed to fulfill me. And I searched, and my spiritual journey was just studying, praying, learning more about my faith. And after some time, I got involved with the Knights of Columbus, a good group that we tried to support the church as much as we can, and leading other men through the rosary, to coming to prayer, not just a meeting where a bunch of men meet, but bringing the church, bringing the Lord into that organization. And it was so wonderful at that time, and I felt there was some leadership skills that I didn't know I had, that people were letting me know. And I was like, wow. So over time, I felt getting that tug on my shirt that God's calling me to the diaconate, and seeing, mentor deacons and loving the church. But yet I fought it. I fought it for many years, and then that God does not give up, and He does not forget, and He kept pulling me. And finally I said, well, Lord, let me do what you want. Lead me where you need me to be. And still some time took before I really looked into it, and at the diocesan level, speaking to my wife. And I remember when I first told my wife, she was surprised more than anybody.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you.
She was surprised no more than anybody, but after some time, she was very supportive, and she said, Mark, if that's what you want to do, let's go for it. Let's check into it, and I'm here with you. So I owe a lot to her so much for being there, because as a deacon's wife, she has to go through all the formation that I went through. Lectures, seminars, formation days, interviews. She was there right for me. And I remember right before I'm ordained, Bishop Barnes, in his wisdom, tells me, Mark, I might be calling you, the good Lord might be calling you, but if your wife says no, it's over.
Yes.
And she said yes.
In our church today, of course, there is a lack of number of priests, and being a deacon, it's a challenge as well, because you are trying to fill in what the priests are not able to reach to a certain extent. Very often people might think, oh, the deacon is only just to be assisting a priest or a bishop during a mass, and all that they need to do is to say the Lord be with you, or share, go the mass is ended, because there are not many responses that the deacons are doing. But I think it is not that. Being a deacon, it's a big commitment that you are taking upon yourself, because you mentioned you thought you have some leadership qualities, and to tell the Lord, like Samuel, yes, speak Lord, your servant is listening. And to listen to that, and then to bring that word to the people, is a big challenge, so also a big responsibility. How have you been, have you had any kind of challenges in the last 6.5 years as a deacon?
I have been blessed that I serve in the community as a deacon where I grew up and lived all my life, and been involved with so much with youth activities, youth sports in the community. So I know a lot of people. I think one of my biggest challenges is to recognize, yes, I need to go forth, but yet feeling that, wow, people are going to say, Mark, is this the same Mark? And I remember when I was first ordained, people say, Mark, I can't believe you're a deacon. And I said, neither can I. But here I am. That means that God is wonderful. God makes everything possible.
Yeah.
And so some of the challenges, I believe, are just being well known as with personal relationships, and them calling me for problems in their family, for things that they need prayer. And I don't take it really as a challenge, but it can be very time-consuming at times. And that's where I think that the support of my wife and family come into play. That yes, let's go visit this person at home. the dying, the sick. Let's go to the hospital and pray over them. Let's pray with them. Yes, let's go to that extra service at the parish.
Yeah.
And I believe just from them knowing me personally, I think I can make myself more available and know what's going on in the community.
You rightfully said, Mark, to be available is very important.
Yes, yes.
So as a deacon, you are doing a job that the church is calling everyone to do. Because I always said the primary ministry of the church is healing.
Yes,
And we are bringing that healing to the people.
yes.
Now, at the, do you have a specific role or a ministry at San Salvador Parish, or you do everything that you?
For a specific role, I have a communion service on Saturday mornings and on Monday nights, leading a rosary group after communion service. Of course, helping and assisting
With
our
the
pastor on Sunday masses, but also the director of the baptismal
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
baptismal ministry. But also, me and my wife, we do a lot of home visits, hospital visits, community outreach when we're called. And most recently, we had the tragic incident of a little boy getting hit by a car last week in Colton, and he succumbed to his injuries. But on Friday night, on Friday night, there's a Colton football games, and some of our high school players would go down to the smaller kids to help them out, to show them. So they were taking it very hard, and the football coach calls me, Mark, could you come out and pray with our boys and at our team dinner? So yes, I blessed the meal and give thanksgiving to God, but we also prayed with the boys. And it wasn't whatever denomination or whatever, but I believe that the presence of the church was there, and that what they felt. Because after we blessed the meal and prayed over with these boys, and about especially the loss of this tragic loss of a little boy, they applauded, they clapped, and I felt very humble as they were just appreciative that the church was there.
Presented there through
Yes.
you, and also through your wife.
Yes.
Thanks to Emily.
Yes, of course.
For journeying with your husband and for letting him to be a deacon in the church. Thanks, Emily. It's a beautiful sacrifice that you have made, and so also the journey that you are making with him. And presently, Deacon, you're also working with the school district, right?
Yes.
What exactly you do with the school district?
After retired, I'm like, what's next in my journey? And I always said, even through my career as a sheriff, I said, God will put me where he needs me. So after I retired, I'm like, okay, God, you told me where to go. And I only wanted to work part-time at that time, and I started working with special education, and I was a one-on-one instructional assistant with a special needs student, and it was wonderful. It was wonderful. But then, as you know, the pandemic came and changed all of our lives, especially in the school system, and we were doing the distant learning, which was very, very challenging for me as working outside for all my career. And I asked my wife, if she'd be willing to let me work full time if anything else happened in the maintenance department or grounds maintenance department, and she said, "Go for it." And I was blessed to get employment as a grounds maintenance worker, cutting grass, taking care of the school sites. It was wonderful. I had a lot of time to pray. Had a lot of time to discern on things that are going on in my life and in the lives of our parishioners at church. And now I'm currently working at Grand Terrace High School on the athletic fields, which is time to pray, to contemplate, but also be present and pray over the children that they have a safe environment for them also.
Deacon Mark, I mentioned in the teaser, give the Jesus words: give to God what belongs to God, and give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. And you probably, and even the audience might have been wondering, why did I use that teaser, discussing with you? Because when I was going through your bio, I said the first half of his life was giving to the society, to Caesar.
Yes.
The second half, the present, is giving to God.
Yes.
You have done it so beautifully.
Yes.
Yeah. So keep that smile.
Thank you so much.
It's a very attractive smile. Sometimes they say it's a kind of a killing smile because it attracts people to you Let people be attracted to you. You are a very, your personality is such, and let that influence others so that the love of God, so also the work that He has entrusted to you and me can be, fulfilled.
People when I used to work for the sheriff's office, and there'd be some times where some volatile situations, and they said, "Mark, why are you always smiling? Why are you always like happy?" I said, "I just want to see what's going to happen next, and we'll go from there. It'll all work out."
I like to ask Emily if she fell for you because of this enchanting smile. I'll do that one in private.
And I'll say, "I believe so."
Thank you so much, Deacon, and I hope you all enjoyed this beautiful dialogue that we had with Deacon Mark. Want to thank you all for listening to us. If you like to support this ministry, please continue to do so. You know where to contact. Our contact information is on the show. Thank you so much for being part of this ministry, and we want to wish Deacon Mark all the very best in his continuing ministry as a deacon at San Salvador Parish in
Thank you,
Colton,
Father.
and maybe in the coming years in other parishes as well.
Yes. Thank you, Father.
Thank you, and thank you so much. Take care and be blessed.